I'm going to read part one, Paris Review interview, 1963, I believe, with E.B. White. I picked up some E.B. White today, and this was in there. And I'm going to read a part two, not because we have a guest tomorrow night, ideally. Sorry about any confusion there might have been if you got a Substack alert, but our guest had to make other plans. But tomorrow night, right?
Hopefully, yes. Yes, definitely tomorrow night. 100% tomorrow night.
So let me just, because there's very few writers I admire more than E.B. White. So his speaking voice, like his writing voice, is clear, resonant, and invincibly debonair. He wanders over the pastures of his main farm, or for that matter, the labyrinthine corridors of the New Yorker offices on West 43rd Street with the offhand grace of a dancer, making up a sequence of steps that the eyes follow with delight and that defies any but his own notation. Clues to the bold and delicate nature of those steps are to be discovered in every line he writes. The man and his work are so nearly one that, try as we will, we cannot tell the dancer from the dance.
How nice.
Paris Review asks, so many critics equate the success of a writer with an unhappy childhood. Can you say something of your own childhood in Mount Vernon? This would be New York as opposed to George Washington's home. As a child, I was frightened but not unhappy. My parents were loving and kind. We were a large family, 6 children, and we were a small kingdom unto ourselves.
I like that.
Nobody ever came to dinner. My father was formal, conservative, successful, hardworking, and worried. My mother was loving, hardworking, and retiring. We lived in a large house in a leafy suburb where there were backyards and stables and grape arbors. I lacked for nothing except confidence. I suffered nothing except the routine terrors of childhood, fear of the dark, fear of the future, fear of the return to school after a summer on a lake in Maine, fear of making an appearance on a platform, fear of the lavatory in the school basement where the slate urinals cascaded, fear that I was unknowing about things I should know about.
This is lovely.
I was, as a child, allergic to pollens and dusts and still am. I was allergic to platforms and still am. It may be, as some critics suggest, that it helps to have an unhappy childhood. If so, I have no knowledge of it. Perhaps it helps to have been scared or allergic to pollens. I really don't know. What age did you know you were going to follow a literary profession? Was there a particular incident or moment? I never knew for sure that I would follow a literary profession. I was 27 or 28 before anything happened that gave me any assurance that I could make a go of writing. I had done a great deal of writing, but I lacked confidence in my ability to put it to good use. I went abroad one summer, and on my return to New York, found an accumulation of mail at my apartment. I took the letters unopened and went to a child's restaurant, capital C, proper name, on 14th Street, where I ordered dinner and began opening my mail. From one envelope, 2 or 3 checks dropped out from the New Yorker. I suppose they totaled a little under $100, but it looked like a fortune to me. I can still remember the feeling that this was it. I was a pro at last. It was a good feeling, and I enjoyed the meal. When did you first move to New York, and what were some of the things you did before joining the New Yorker? Were you ever part of the Algonquin group? After I got out of college in 1921, I went to work in New York, but I did not live in New York. I lived at home with my father and mother in Mount Vernon and commuted to work. I held 3 jobs in about 7 months, first with the United Press, then with a public relations man named Wheat, then with the American Legion News Service. I disliked them all. In the spring of 1922, I headed west in a Model T Ford with a college mate, Howard Cushman, to seek my fortune, and as a way of getting away. I landed in Seattle 6 months later, worked there as a reporter on the Times for a year, was fired, shipped to Alaska aboard a freighter, and then returned to New York. It was on my return that I became an advertising man. Frank Seaman and Company, J.H. Newmark. In the mid-20s, I moved into a 2-room apartment at 112 West 13th Street with 3 other fellows, college mates from Cornell, Burke Dowling Adams, Gustav Stubbs Lebrano, and Mitchell T. Gullibrith. The rent was $110 a month. Split 4 ways, it came to $27.50, which I could afford. My friends in those days were the fellows I already mentioned, also Peter Vischer, Russell Lord, Joel Sayer, Frank Sullivan, James Thurber, and others. I was never part of the Algonquin group. After becoming connected with the New Yorker, I lunched once at the Round Table but didn't care for it, and was embarrassed in the presence of the truly great. I never was well acquainted with Benchley or Brune, that would be Haywood Hale Brune, or Dorothy Parker or Wolcott. I did not know Don Marquis or Ring Lardner, both of whom I greatly admired. I was a younger man. The affinity with nature has been very important to you. This seems a contradiction considering the urbanity of the New Yorker and its early contributions. And E.B. White says there is no contradiction. New York is a part of the natural world. I love the city. I love the country, and for the same reasons. The city is part of the country. When I had an apartment on East 48th, my backyard during the migratory season yielded more birds than I ever saw in Maine.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I could step out on my porch, spring or fall, and there was the hermit thrush picking around in McAvoy's yard, or the white-throated sparrow, the brown thrasher, the jay, the kinglet. But it's not just a question of birds and animals. The urban scene is a spectacle that fascinates me. People are animals. And the city is full of people in strange plumage, defending their territorial rights and digging for their supper. Do you have a special interest in other arts? I have no special interest in any of the other arts. I know nothing of music or of painting or of sculpture or of the dance. I would rather watch the circus or a ball game than ballet. Can you listen to music or be otherwise half distracted when you're working on something? E.B. White says, I never listen to music when I'm working. I haven't that kind of attentiveness. On the other hand, I'm able to work fairly well among ordinary distractions. My house has a living room that is at the core of everything that goes on. It is a passageway to the cellar, to the kitchen, to the closet where the phone lives. There is a lot of traffic, but it's a bright, cheerful room, and I often use it as a room to write in despite the carnival that's going on all around me. Do you have any warm-up exercises to get going? Delay is natural to a writer. He is like a surfer. He bides his time. He waits for the perfect wave on which to ride in. Delay is instinctive. He waits for the surge of emotion, of strength, of courage that will carry him along. I have no warm-up exercises other than to take an occasional drink. I'm apt to let something simmer for a while in my mind before trying to put it into words. I walk around, straightening pictures on the wall, rugs on the floor, as though not until everything in the world was lined up and perfectly true could anybody reasonably expect me to set a word down on paper. Paris Review asked, does the finished product need a gestation period? That is, do you put a finished work away and look at it a month hence?
I think he knows what gestation period means.
Pardon me, what? What did you say, what?
That's funny.
I think he would understand what the question was without.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's true. I think he would too. Well,
I got you.
George Plimpton was allowing for the NPR listeners to come. It's like this NPR does an interview. Well, as George Washington says, please let me interrupt you, First President of the United States. Yes, go ahead. Okay, sorry. It depends on what kind of product it is. Many a poem could well use more than 9 months. You're right, he knows. Well, at least for this species. On the other hand, a newspaper report of a fire in a warehouse can't be expected to enjoy a gestation period. When I finished Charlotte's Web, I put it away, feeling that something was wrong. The story had taken me 2 years to write, working on it off, but I was in no particular hurry. It took another year to rewrite it, and it was a year well spent. If I write something and feel doubtful about it, I soak it away. Passage of time can be a help in evaluating it, but in general, I tend to rush into print, riding a wave of emotion. Do you revise endlessly? How do you know when something's right? I revise a great deal. I know when something is right because bells begin ringing and lights flash.
I love this.
Some writers are equipped with extrasensory perception. Some have a good ear, like O'Hara, Frank O'Hara, the esteemed short story writer. Some are equipped with humor, although not nearly as many as think they are. Some are equipped with massive intellect, like Wilson. Some are prodigious. I do think the ability to evaluate one's own stuff with reasonable accuracy is a helpful piece of equipment. I've known good writers who've had it, and I've known good writers who've not. I've known writers who were utterly convinced that anything at all, if it came from their pen, was the work of a genius, and as close to being right as anything can be. Now remember, he wrote a manual of style. Is style something that can be taught? I don't think it can be taught. Style results more from what a person is than from what he knows. But there are a few hints that can be thrown out to advantage. What would those few hints be? They would be the 21 hints I threw out in Chapter 5 of The Elements of Style. We should read from that some night.
Yes.
There was nothing new or original about them, but there they are for all to read. This I love. Do you think media, something that never occurred to me, such as television and motion pictures, have had any effect on contemporary literary styles? E.B. White says, television affects the style of children that I know. I know. I receive letters from children, and many of them begin, Dear Mr. White, my name is Donna Reynolds. Well, this is the Walter Cronkite gambit straight out of TV. When I was a child, I never started a letter, my name is Elwyn White. I simply signed my name at the end of the letter. So when we pick up part 2, it's going to be this part. Many people have said that your wife, Catherine S. White, was the intellectual soul of the New Yorker, and her enormous influence and contributions have never been recorded at it.
Is it a long answer?
It's a very long answer.
Oh.
I mean, we'll read other stuff too, but in any event, it's quite beautiful.
Wonderful. I can't wait.
So that's part 1. That's what we're reading tonight.
And do you know, go
Yes,
ahead.
go ahead.
Do you know if elsewhere he has talked about that year of revision for Charlotte's Web? What he felt wasn't quite there?
No. Yeah.
That's interesting.
We can look it up. I'll ask Grok. No, I won't. I'll look it up on my own. To hell with Grok. That would be useful. So thanks.
Sorry, we're going to have to moderate that content.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's right. We're going to, yeah. All kinds of other slurs are all right, but not
Not
on
that
Grok.
one.
Yeah, all right. So thanks very, what was strunk from the record? Ooh, I think we should read the manual of style. So thanks very much for being with us on our open book. It's the Epiphany, right? Tomorrow too?
Yes, in France, they have this wonderful cake, and you put a little, here, let me go, it's called a fève. Let me go get one.
Yeah.
If you say it's the Epiphany, shouldn't one of us say, oh?
Pardon me?
If you ask if it's the Epiphany, shouldn't one of us go, oh?
Oh, that's very funny.
Right?
That's
Isn't that the bit?
That's
So
very
it's
funny.
this wonderful
I'm
cake.
on our rolls.
Yeah. These are,
You can just show each one of these. And this gets buried into the dough, and then usually you have it with lots of people. You cut the different pieces of the cake, and whoever gets the fève then picks his king or queen.
Yeah.
You know, when you get the cake, it has a little.
Oh, look, this one is a pope with a white side. No, that'll be this
Yes.
year. Yeah.
But anyway, usually, I mean, it's in
Did you get
bakeries.
all 3 of these?
Well, this is from various years.
I know, but you got all 3?
No. You get one at a time.
You take them from our children when they get them? No.
Yes.
Yeah. Darling.
But I've always wondered. I mean, in France, it's basically you can get these in bakeries, in pâtisseries, all through the month of January, usually.
Yeah.
And they're wonderful. They're with almond, like an
Galette
almond
des Rois.
custard.
Yeah, Ruth
Galette des
Mandel
Rois.
was.
And it's just delicious. I forgot today.
You're busy.
But maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. Pardon me?
Yes, and apparently Maggie saw a camel in Washington, D.C. 2 camels yesterday in Washington,
A friend
D.C.
of mine did on their commute to work. There were camels. And I said, why?
Is that part of the National Guard deployment?
That's what I
You think?
thought,
Yeah.
but we don't do foreign military exchange anymore. And so Caroline said, no, they're part of the Epiphany.
No, I was joking.
And I wasn't sure what that meant. So I spent all day trying to figure that out.
So Lucy Fellows says, watch your molars on the Fève. And it's true. I've always wondered, like in bakeries here, they don't tell you. And
They don't tell you?
I mean, I don't think so. So
In Washington,
if you
wouldn't
don't
think
know, with
at
all the
one point,
lawyers.
that's right, K Street lawyer would say, hey,
Wow.
if you bite into it,
yeah,
yes.
exactly. Yeah. I'm going to own this bakery after that.
But there are quite a few French bakeries in Washington. So we try a different one each year to see which is our favorite.
All right. Well, thanks very much for being with us tonight on An Open Book. We'll see you later. Guest tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Take
Star
care.
Society.
Bye-bye.